Sheena's good.
Okay. All right. I'm going to introduce you guys and then we'll go from there. All right. So we are live on the Missing Struggle. I think it is very important that everyone sees this this live because it is another parent that is missing a child from Hillsborough County and has gotten no help whatsoever from the sheriff's office. Um, we're going to talk to Miss Sheena, who is representing her son, Brandon Alexander, who's missing from Riverview. We also have Fidencio Minjares. As you guys know, his daughter, Veronica Reyes Diaz, has been missing since January of 2020. And I am here to represent Kaya, who has been missing since February of 2020 from Hillsborough County as well. Um, Miss Sheena, can you tell us a little bit about Brandon's case?
Well, Brandon, I felt that something wasn't wrong after I hadn't heard from Brandon about 2 days. Um, it's not unusual for me not to see him in a 2 day period, but for him not to call me is very suspect. So I reached out to his roommate and said, he's not here. Is he with you? And the part that's disturbing is that the roommate has lied to me before, and he was there. So I didn't take it serious when he said he's not with me because it was a pattern for him to lie before. So I just kind of just sat on, sat and waited. And after a week it passed, and I still hadn't heard from him. Then I started calling family members and saying, "Hey, have you heard from him?" And they were all, "No, we hadn't heard from him." So my nephew, who he's really close with, but he resides in Leon County, I called him and I said, "Have you talked to your cousin?" And he said, "No, Auntie, I haven't talked to him since y'all left here, because a week before we had just gone to visit them." And he called the roommate and he said, "My auntie can't find Brandon." And he told her, he said, "Oh, he's not with me." So then I started to think, well, maybe he's serious about the fact that he's not with him. So I started communicating with the roommate and said, "Well, if he's not with you, where is he?" And he said, "Well, I thought he was with you." I said, "Well, if you thought he was with me, why hadn't you reached out and asked
Mm-hmm.
me or asked about him or called to talk to him or anything?" And he said, "Oh, well, I just assumed that he was upset with me about something." And I didn't understand that at the time because there was no reason. And if there was anything that was going on, Brandon had an issue with his roommate. The first place he's coming is to me. He's
Mm-hmm.
coming home, and he didn't show up here. So I kept thinking to myself, he'll call. He'll call
Mm-hmm.
soon. And after 3 days and he hadn't called me, I made attempts to call in to the non-emergency line at the sheriff's department to say, "Hey, I need to report my son missing." And
When
I
you
got this.
say attempt, when you say attempt, tell me what you mean by that.
I say attempt because the response that I got from them when I said I needed to report my son missing was, "How old is he?" And I said 26. And they said, "Well, he's an adult and he's free to come and go if he please."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sounds very, very familiar.
Yeah, so what they offered me was a welfare check at the house.
What?
And I don't, yeah, they offered me a welfare check. And they actually had an officer go out to do the welfare check. And she called me without me having to call back to get an update. The officer called me and she said it was about 8 o'clock. She said it's early and nobody's there, nobody's answering the door. But if you call me back about 10:30 and report him a request for a welfare check again, I'll look out for the call and I'll go again for you. And I did, and she went out again. And she called me almost midnight to tell me she got the call, she went out, and there was still nobody at home. So she told me to give it a couple of days, that she would be working, and she'll look for my call. And
That's
so I did.
illegal. That's
Yes,
illegal.
yes,
Oh my God. Do you hear this, Fidencio?
Yeah,
yes,
that's BS. Yeah, they tried. I told you they tried the same thing with my daughter.
yes.
Oh my God.
So I gave it a couple of days, and I called back and I said, I want to get because they've already told me I can't report him missing. So this time when I make the call, I say I need another welfare check because he still hasn't come home. So they took the call. I gave them the address. The officer went out to do the welfare check. This time I don't know who went out because whoever went out never called me. I had to call back to the non-emergency number to say, hey, what was the outcome of the welfare check?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I called back,
I'm
they
sorry. I'm
told
just
me,
like,
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, at this time, he's still not reported missing. I'm just trying to get somebody to go out to see if he's home, which I already knew the answer to. So they decided,
but this is 3 days after
yes,
you have not heard
that's
from
right.
him.
That's
So it's
right.
3 days that you haven't heard from him. Tried to report him missing, and it's 1 day, 2 days. So it's a total of 5 days.
Exactly. A total of 5 days.
That is
So, and
illegal.
actually, this was a Friday afternoon. So it gets worse because on Friday afternoon, I don't get the response that they've done the welfare check. And I call back and say, can you give me the update? What happened when you went out to the house? And they say to me that they made contact with the roommate in his driveway, and he informed them that Brandon wasn't there. They never went inside the house to confirm it. They only took him at his word and said he wasn't there. So when Brandon this is Friday afternoon, and I'm calling family members and I'm saying, how do you report somebody missing? Because they're telling me they can't take my report. My son's 26 and he's free to come and go as he please, according to the sheriff's department. And we have no idea. And then I remember that when I called, they told me the only way I can report him missing is if he had a mental health condition. And so it dawned on me that Brandon had recently
What?
had a, yeah, yeah.
You're yet to do our business report.
I'm at Friday, 5 days, and they still haven't taken the report by this time. So I go to work on Monday, and I remember that my son had an order of incompetency because of his mental health condition. So I print out this incompetency order. I bring it home with me from work, and I call the sheriff department and I say, now you have to take my missing person report because I have a copy of an incompetency order saying my son is incompetent and he suffers from mental health. They finally sent an officer out.
And how many days was this?
Now this is a week because I'd gone through the weekend.
So it's 7 days, not 5 days,
Yes,
and
it's 7 days now.
the weekend.
Correct.
Right. Listen, do you have a lawyer?
I do not.
For real. Do you have a lawyer?
I do not.
Okay, so for all of those that are out there listening to this, she does not have a lawyer and they refuse to do a missing persons report. I don't care how old they are. They are supposed to do that no matter what. And this case sounds
I
a
didn't know
lot
any
like yours,
better.
Fidencio.
I had no idea. I didn't
And
know
I
any
understand
better.
that. We don't.
Well, nobody knows no
Right.
difference. It's not like we get a handbook. We got missing kids or nothing. I
Exactly.
mean,
Right.
It's something you learn as you go
Exactly.
along.
Mhm. And so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
finally
And then
get
you
an
learn from
officer to
others
come out.
because we don't
Exactly, and
know.
that was the thing. Yeah, Google was my best friend on what to do. And there's not a lot of answers there. You just read stories, and somebody say, well,
Right.
this is what I did, and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So when it
you
finally
remember
came out,
Yep.
Katrina? Remember that?
Philip says, I thought regardless of age, after so many days, you have to report a person missing. Absolutely, they do, Philip. And that's why I'm telling anybody that's listening out here that is legal counsel that they need to get in contact with Miss Alexander, because what they did, not only to her, but also to Fidencio, is wrong. Is wrong. In Fidencio's case, Veronica had a Google phone. Fidencio gave the Chromebook to the investigator, not a police officer, an
hmm
investigator,
hmm
and they said, "Oh, we don't need that."
well, pretty
yeah,
much he wasn't even an investigator. He was a pimple
Sounds
pusher.
like you, Miss
To go,
Alexander.
yeah,
You're like,
to go out there to get information.
yeah,
Rather than
and that's what they are. They are civilians employed by the sheriff's department that follow up on tips. They are not investigators for the sheriff's department. They are not detectives for the sheriff's department. They are a regular citizen who was hired, and unfortunately, we're saying one person, not a group of people, one person that carries the caseload for missing
mhm,
adults
mhm.
in Hillsborough County, employed as a private citizen of the sheriff's department.
Yep.
So glad you said that. So I'm going to bring up a statistic right now. Hillsborough County is in the top 7 counties in the entire nation for missing people. They are in the top for missing people, yet they have no missing persons division in
Nope.
Hillsborough County.
No, they do not.
I'm going to repeat that so everyone can hear me in the back that wasn't listening before. They are in the top 7 counties in the nation for missing people and do not have a missing persons division. Period. They do not have a missing persons division. Listen, I am a person that pays taxes and a lot of taxes. And I wish
hmm
I wouldn't have to give the government shit, because you are not helping my sister be found. You are not helping Kelly Vasquez being found. You're not helping Veronica Reyes Diaz. You are not helping Brandon Alexander be found, but I'm giving you my. How does that work?
Right.
How do you not have a missing persons division in Hillsborough County? Oh, y'all finna make me mad and I'm finna act stupid. For
No,
real, it doesn't make sense. We
Hillsborough
are
County, they have a lot of funds going to them. Not just our taxes, but they have a lot of funds
yes.
going. And they take them funds and they do other stuff with them, parades and et cetera, et cetera.
Mm,
To blow their little stuff they do. Instead of like I said, after 6 months, my daughter being missing, they automatically she went to homicide, and that's when they took it serious.
Yeah.
But 6 months. I mean, if
yep.
I did something to somebody and they have 6 months to do something, I mean, I clean up so much. You're not going to find nothing after that. 24 hours after a loved one comes up missing are the most critical. But if you want to sit around and say, oh, they're adults, they can do what they want to do, you letting everything get cold. You're not going to find nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
My son's been missing
We,
5 months, and I've seen a representative from the sheriff's department 3 times. The first time was the day they came to take my report. 3 months later, at the 90-day mark, they came to get my DNA. Showed up at my house.
Was it a detective at that time?
No, it still wasn't a detective. It's the assigned civilian employee.
What?
That came to take my DNA.
Man, we need to kick Sheriff Chronic Liar out of Hillsborough. That's what I call him, because he is a chronic liar.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, Katrina, you know
I
what
just
family
heard
comes from.
Yeah.
You know his wife, where the family comes from. It's all about money and politics, man.
Yep. I don't think Miss Alexander knows. Go ahead and school her.
Well, I mean, the wife, his wife, she her parents, they're owners of the 49ers. San Francisco 49ers.
Oh.
So it's all about money and politics, and I mean, the other guy that was going for sheriff, when our girls disappeared, I would like to having him as a sheriff. I think he would have done something.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was to get in office, get in there, I don't care what he would have done. But I think he would have been better than what we got now.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know where the funds are being allocated to, but I know where they are.
Again.
Yeah, the
exactly.
third time
I'm going to put this out there again. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said the only other time they've showed up at my house since my son went missing, I was desperate to have somebody looking for him. So my son was out on a conditional release order because he was found incompetent. So part of that conditional release order says he has to remain at my address. He has to reside here. So I went to court and asked the judge to violate him just on that portion of that conditional release order to say he was not in compliance and issue a warrant for his arrest. I felt like the warrant would actually make the sheriff's department go out and look for him. They showed up at my house 3 days after I got the warrant to say, we're here to look for Brandon Alexander. We're here to get Brandon Alexander. And I said, I'm looking for him too. And she said to me, oh, he still hasn't come home? I said, no, he hasn't. She said, oh, well, that's why we're here. We just want to follow up and let you know we're still out here looking for him. I said, no, you're not. You're here because I went to the judge and asked the judge to issue a warrant for his arrest. And you thought you would come here and arrest him.
Man, yeah.
Well, they're in a hurry to go out to get a criminal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're in a hurry for that.
Mm-hmm. Make I haven't seen them anymore since then. And that was
don't pay a traffic ticket. Don't pay a traffic ticket. They'll come get you.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Listen, I'm sorry. I got a potty mouth, Miss Alexander. I do, and I don't care. I will say it. I am, Hillsborough County, for me, is a piece of shit. And I think everyone in Hillsborough County, if you don't have someone that's already missing, you better get on board, because I didn't think it would happen to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know Fidencio and Miss Alexander, they didn't think it would happen to them either.
Absolutely not.
But our children and our adults, our sisters, our sons, our daughters, our cousins, our brothers, they're missing at a crazy amount. And the thing is that men than anyone else in the nation. So we're talking about Brandon Alexander, male, Hillsborough County, who is the seventh in the in the seventh largest county of the nation. that's missing. So
That's
he's
a
got
lot.
so many like things against him. He's black. He's
Yep.
missing.
Yep.
I,
Yep. He has a
I'm
criminal
gonna
history.
ask. I'm gonna, yeah, exactly. So I was gonna ask you to go into depth, if you will, and if you don't feel comfortable doing that, I totally understand. But
Oh,
we need to
absolutely.
let people know the disparities that go along with our black and brown missing. It we
Yeah.
have to.
I recall a
It's up to
conversation
you
with
though,
the
if you want to
I,
or
the
not.
the conversation I had with the assigned employee of the sheriff department early on when Brandon first went missing. I said to her, um, Brandon suffers from psychosis, and can you help me get a warrant? And just anything to make somebody hear me and start to listen for him and look for him. And she said to me, I don't have the ability to do that. And I said, well, you need to put me in touch with who has the ability to do that, because I need you out there looking for him. And so I never got a response. And so I took it upon myself to call the judge in order to be able to get that court date. After I got that court date, I called her up and I said, listen, I've got a court date so that the judge can actually issue a warrant for Brandon's arrest. And the law enforcement will actually look for him. Or if they see anybody, they'll take the time out to question about where he is. And she said, well, I don't know how you can do that. I saw that he was arrested for grand theft auto. And I said, did you read the complaint to see what Brandon did? Because all you're hearing is grand theft auto you see on a piece of paper. You've already decided how you want to categorize my child just based on what you see on a piece of paper. You didn't even bother to go into the details of what the grand theft auto charge was. Brandon was arrested for sitting on a golf cart. And because the cost of that golf cart puts him over the threshold for a felony charge, he was charged with grand theft auto. He didn't go anywhere on the golf cart,
For a golf
but
cart?
yes, ma'am, a golf cart. And that was why he was arrested. And that was a felony charge. So they charged him with grand theft auto, but not of a golf. It doesn't specifically say a golf cart. It says auto, which is an automobile. So she took that as this
Wow.
is the type of person that's missing and just left it. She didn't bother to do any investigating, to ask me what happened, to read the complaint, nothing. And when he was arrested, he was treated and given medication in order to be able to get him to a point. He was sitting in jail for a week and I didn't even know it was there. Because of the psychosis, he wasn't even in his right mind to be able to call me to say this is where I am. I
Oh
made
no.
so many scheduled visitations, which were electronic visitations. Once I found out he was there, I made the appointments to visit with him. And so many times he was so combative and not coherent about what was to the visit. He wouldn't come to the video to talk to me. And the officers were really nice. I have to say that the officers at the jail were really nice. They tried to explain to him that it was me, but because he wasn't in his right mind, and the doctors had already told us he was on the onset age for dealing with this, um, he hadn't been medicated and he hadn't been properly diagnosed. So he was so combative, he wouldn't come to the phone to be able to talk to me. But once they got him medicated for about a week or so, he was a lot better and he would come. There wasn't much of a conversation between the two of us, but he was aware that I was there and he was aware that I was there to support him.
Right.
And that's why he was found incompetent. And he was released in order to be able to go through competency training so that he can deal with the charge
Oh,
of being on
that's
that golf
good.
cart. Yeah. And that's only because I was fighting. The original court order wanted to send him to Chattahoochee to the Florida State Hospital. And I
So
told him there's no reason to do that. He has his mother
there's.
here.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I told him, I said, you can release him to me. We'll make sure he gets his medication. Whatever training he has to go through, we'll do it. Whatever therapy he has to go through, we'll do it. We'll do it as a family. And we did that. We set him up. We started in October. We started doing in-house therapy. The therapist would come here to our home. He was compliant with all of the responsibilities he had for that court order to maintain his conditional release so that he wouldn't go back to jail. So he had been compliant since October.
Right.
And
That's
from
what I was
October
gonna.
to the time he went missing, that's why there was no reason for him to just leave. He
Right.
is the type person, like I said, he faces his.
It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah. Like I said, he deals with his responsibilities. It may not be immediately, and that's because of the psychosis. But he is not the type of person to run away from his responsibilities, especially when he has a support system.
Right.
He was compliant.
Right.
He didn't want to go back to that jail behind that door because he was dealing with the psychosis. He wasn't with other general population at the jail. He was in confinement, taking medication. They were ready to send him to Chattahoochee, to the Florida State Hospital.
No way. No.
Yes.
What?
And if it wasn't for me being there at those court hearings to tell the judge, I'm here to support him. I'm going to make sure that he gets his medication. This is new for all of us.
Right.
He was compliant with the therapy. This wasn't court ordered for family therapy. But when they came, I sat right down there in that garage with them to do the session.
Wow. Wow. Man.
And he was compliant.
This is, man, I'm going to tell you what they did with my sister. I don't think I went into any details with you, with my sister. So a passerby found her car running and abandoned on a railroad track. They came and they moved her car to the side of the road. So let me back up. Her car was found running and abandoned on a railroad track with the driver's side door open, and her cell phone on the ground. They put everything back in the car and moved it on the side of the road where it sat for 3 days. They moved her car off the railroad track and put it on the side of the road. They didn't do an area search. They didn't run the tags. They didn't call next of kin on the tags. This is Hillsborough County, Florida.
No, I want everyone. Katrina, that was a different department.
No.
Remember that was Plant City Police Department.
No. They called Plant City Police Department and they called Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Both of them, mosquitoes. Both of them showed up. And Hillsborough County was the one that said, we're going to move her car. It was the county sheriff's office that moved her car. Yeah, crazy. Same thing with Fidencio, with Veronica. Like, he's giving you everything, the Chromebook, to show where she went all the time that she was missing. I'm sorry, I have to stop because somebody did a ha face on our live, and I don't know who Winter Love is, but it's a and it that really like ticks me off, because why are you laughing at
The
our
comment.
tragedies? I don't think it's funny. And whoever you are, if you didn't mean to do it, I think you need to change it, because it really just ticks me off, and I'm gonna come at you hard, really really hard. So change
Yeah.
it. It's not funny. Our loved ones are missing, and we need the um, the public's help. Hmm. I'm gonna tell you, as far as Kaya is concerned, Kaya was a drug addict, and her quote unquote boyfriend was also a drug addict who is dealing drugs as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want anyone to think that my sister or Brandon is like holier than thou, but they are still people, and they need to understand that they're still people, and they still deserve to be found. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
Even if it wasn't for Brandon that you decide you wanted to assist me, I am a citizen and I pay my taxes and I deserve the help.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like Brandon deserves the help, I deserve the help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of people that are commenting on tonight, and I think that's absolutely amazing. I think that there is a lot more people that needs to reach out to Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office and let them know that we, as the family of the missing, we need changes, and I'm coming at them very, very hard.
Hmm.
We are going to do whatever we can to make sure that our missing are found, and also that they are going to do something to help us
Yeah.
no matter what. I just have to put this out there. I've had Jessica Nunez on here, and her dad was found after 4 years. She was 14, autistic, and she's been missing for 4 years, and they found her.
Oh
Well,
wow.
they did they did not find her. Her daughter actually went to the sheriff's office and told them that she wanted to get her name off of the missing persons flyer. So I looked at that live, and I saw that they were taking so much responsibility that, oh, we found her, we found her. No, you didn't find her. She found herself, and she turned herself in. And for me, and I don't know about you, Fidencio or Miss Alexander, for me, I think the community is going to find our loved ones, not the
Yeah.
police, not the sheriff, not anyone else. The community is going to help us find our missing loved ones. Again, like I told you, I talked to Gabby Petito's dad,
Yeah.
and he put um, Brandon's
Brandon's
flyer
flyer.
out to the
Yeah,
public.
he did. He did.
Yeah, he did. Good. I haven't seen it, but I know he's a man of his word, and
Hmm.
he knows that his blonde-haired, blue-eyed child was put into the public's eye, and no one ever knew the reason why. But he is out here to help us. And look, I talk a lot about him on our lives, because I don't think it's fair for our black and brown people that are missing, that people don't share our flyers. They don't help us with our missing loved ones. But when we have someone that is out there that's big in the public and they're out there to help us, I have to give kudos. I have to give kudos to him. So he has really helped us with Brandon's case, Kaya's case, Veronica's case, all of our cases. He has helped push with his foundation, um, to get us
It's
some
just so
help.
upsetting though, because
And I thank him for that.
I couldn't get. I not only, it's one thing not to get them to take my police report, but even my missing person report. But even after I made the report, I had so much to offer, and I think about that because you say you had her cell phone and her laptop to provide. I had so much to offer at the time to say, hey, these are conflicting stories about the roommate dropping him off. These are the things, this is where you're going to be able to go and find who has the answers of where he is, or to even take you in that direction. And to this day, they have not taken that information from me. They don't care to see any text messages I have. They don't care to hear the information I have. I've even been told if he is found, he doesn't have to come home. He's an adult. We can't make him come home. And I tell him, I said, listen, this is my baby. If he's found, he's going to want to come home. If you tell him his mom is looking for him, he's going to want to come home. It's not going to be a question about
Agreed.
it. And she says to me, well, why don't he just come home then? And I said, something's wrong. Something's wrong is why he's not coming home. And she says to me, oh, I thought
What?
he.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an argument I
Man.
had with them. Every
Yeah.
parent knows their child.
Mhm.
No.
Yeah.
Mhm. Agreed. Agreed. Miss Alexander, I'm going to ask you to give a little more information about how he came up missing. When was the last time you saw him? When the person that last saw him, can you please tell what, you don't have to say who it is, but can you please say what the circumstances were for him
Okay.
missing?
So, I saw Brandon on February 23rd. And on February 23rd, he had a court date for that compliance order that he was out on, the conditional release order that he was out on. And as he had done since October, he complied with the order and he showed up for his court date. He showed up for his court date. He showed up for a therapy appointment also the same day. Um, it was it's been reported that the last time he was seen was February 25th. And they're using that date because the roommate says he saw him last on February 25th. I haven't seen Brandon since
Mhm.
February 23rd. So the police are going with the date that the roommate says he saw him. And he says he saw him on that day because he dropped him off near my home. And I want to say it's about maybe 600 yards from my house where he said he dropped him off. Why he would
Wait,
drop him off there and
what?
not bring him home, I don't know. But either way, if Brandon was dropped off that close to home, he would have come home. There's no way he would be that
Right.
close to me and just not come home. So since the law enforcement is using that date of the date of missing, I've been trying to work with his roommate to say, hey, you are the last person that saw him. It seems to me you would want to assist in any way you can in order to bring him home. And in the beginning, I felt like he was doing that. He was passing out flyers. He was riding around in his car looking for him, burning his own gas. And so I expected that this is going to be a temporary thing. Eventually, we're going to find him in the next couple of days because we're all actively out here looking. And after about a week, the roommates kind of not necessarily cut off communication, but slacked off in communicating with us about the information. He kept any communication he had with the assigned investigator. I don't even want to call her an investigator, but the representative from the Riverview County Sheriff's Department. He only communicated with her. So he didn't communicate with the family at all after that point. And it could be in the car. And so after that point, any information I got or any information he provided, I had to get it through the third party of the assigned investigator at the sheriff's department. So I felt like she was in a position where she trusted everything he said, because she had no reason to believe that he actually dropped Brandon off near my home. And I said to her, there's no way my child would be that close to home. It doesn't make sense. So I questioned the roommate and I said, well, if you dropped him off that close to home, drop him off, because he says 56th Street. So I said, well, was it about 56 in Fletcher? Was it about 56 in Fowler? Anywhere, what street nearby? And he says to me, I don't know streets over there. So I said, okay, fine. Was it by the bowling alley? Was it by McDonald's? Was it by the 7-Eleven? And he said, I can't remember. So I said, well, can you tell me if it was day or night? And his response to me was, you're asking me too many questions. I would prefer law enforcement to ask me questions from now on. And he cut off communication.
What?
Yes. And since that point, he has not communicated with me. He maintained his communication with the sheriff's department for a while after that. There was an anonymous tip called into the sheriff's department a couple of weeks after Brandon went missing, and this was still early on. And she called me from the sheriff's department to say, I got an anonymous tip that somebody saw Brandon over off Nebraska Avenue, and I'm going to check it out. And she was so thorough. I recall her saying anonymous at least 3 times in that conversation. And I didn't know why it was so important for her to say anonymous. And I just kind of felt like, as a mother, a lot of people would think, if you got a tip, who did it come from? So I felt like she kept saying anonymous so that way I wouldn't ask.
Right.
So I didn't ask. And so, but I did ask her if she had heard from the roommate. And her response was, shortly after she received the anonymous tip, before she was able to leave the office to go check out the anonymous tip, the roommate called her and asked if she had any updates. It was such a coincidence that you got a call from him immediately after you got this anonymous tip. Wow. An anonymous tip that if Brandon had been produced from that tip, they could have received a reward.
Right.
But they chose to remain anonymous. And I honestly feel like that anonymous tip is because
is the roommate,
had something
and
to
that's
do with calling in that tip.
Yep.
So after getting the anonymous tip, she checked it out. Of course, it didn't pan out. It's always been his report that he dropped Brandon off near the house. That hasn't changed when it comes to what he's telling the sheriff department. Um, but I have to back up and say this. In the beginning, I was unable to put the pieces together. My brain was frazzled.
Of course.
So after being able to sit down and actually try to form some type of plan of locating him, I went back through all of my communication, which has been through text message with the roommate. And it took me back to February 25th, the day that he said he dropped him off. I received 3 text messages from him on February 25th and 2 text messages on February 26th. And none of those text messages say I just dropped your son off.
Wow.
They all point to him not being with him, but none of them say I dropped him off near your house. So I took that information to the representative for the sheriff's department and I said, listen, the stories are changing. He's changing his story. I need you to talk to him more about this because there's more to what he's telling me. And so she said, I'll call him and follow up to see if he changes his story. 10 minutes later, I got a text that, how dare you tell the sheriff's department that I had something to do with him being missing.
Wait,
so not
what?
only did she,
They said you had something to do with it?
Yeah, well, the thing about it is when I tell her that I feel like he's not being truthful, the roommate's not being truthful, and she says she'll follow up on it, and 10 minutes later I get a text from the roommate that says, how dare you? That means she took the information I provided her and went to him and said, hey, mom doesn't believe you. And from that point on, that led to him not communicating with the family anymore. About a month after Brandon went missing, I got up enough courage to start passing flyers out of him being missing because of the reports being made with the sheriff department that he went missing off 56th Street because the roommate says that's where he was. I took it upon myself to go to the neighborhood that Brandon was living in with the roommate and put up flyers. And I learned from being in that area that Brandon was known by a lot of the neighbors as being a really kind, sweet guy, very respectful, always speaking to everybody that walked by, and that's just how he is. So I know that to be true because that is who Brandon is. And I put those flyers up in the neighborhood, and about an hour after I got home, I spent about 3 hours out there. About an hour after I got home, I got a text message from the roommate telling me not to put flyers up in the neighborhood because he wasn't missing from that area. He was missing from Tampa.
What?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I think he's trying to hide something there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I also found out after that Brandon called 911 on the roommate on February 20th, which is the 3 days prior to the last day I saw him. I didn't learn about this 911 call until after he went missing. And that 911 call, the sheriff department did come out to investigate it, but by the time they came out to investigate it, Brandon had left and they only spoke to the roommate. And when I say that he left, he came home, as which he would have done if he was on 56 and dropped off on the 25th. It's just a pattern for him. That's the first place he goes. He comes home to his mom. And if I'm not here, he's going to sit on my porch till I get here.
I think that's what any human being would do that has a mother.
Yeah. Oh,
I,
he'll ring the doorbell and talk to me through the doorbell and say I'm at your house. He's not gonna go anywhere till I get here. And all of these, they're not coincidence, and these are facts. And the sheriff department has not taken this information and said there's more to him being missing than a person that just decided they didn't want to come home to their mom.
Yeah.
That's not what they see. So they have not decided to investigate his disappearance. Anything other than a missing person, that's all it is. I was told that if a body turns up, the roommate will be the first person they talk to. That's the only reassurance they've given me.
Yeah, I got the same thing.
Yeah.
They can do their job. Somebody else finds them, they can do their job after that.
Exactly.
which means
so until then,
that
no, they aren't going to do anything.
As the community, are going to have to do that work for them.
Yeah.
Like, I did not pay all these taxes for them to do all that.
To sit under a tree in the shade.
Right. Like,
Well, how many times I drive around, I see him sitting under a tree in the shade doing nothing.
Oh yeah.
Now you see it all the time.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And drinking coffee. And that's another reason why I had to leave Florida. Like, I wanted to kill everybody. This is my sister. This is my sister, my cousin, my brother-in-law. Like, I don't know if I told you, I have 3 people missing in our family.
Oh wow.
And it's crazy. Like, how does that happen?
Well, it gets worse. You know, now where we are now, I've made it public post about the roommate cutting off communication, but now we don't know where he is. The house that they were residing in, he moved out without paying rent, didn't notify the property manager that he was going to move out. An eviction was served. The roommate.
Who moved out?
The roommate.
The roommate? Okay.
The roommate moved out shortly after Brandon disappeared. An eviction notice was posted on the door. I don't know exactly how many days it takes to get an eviction, but I will tell you this. Brandon went missing on February 23rd, according to my records. So say, for instance, February rent is paid. You don't pay March. And by the end of March, April 1st, you file your eviction notice because it's been 30 days since the tenant paid rent. It takes you another 30 days to May to get a court date. You get that court date. And at the end of May, there was an eviction notice posted on the door saying, we will take possession of the property on June 1st.
Wait.
By June 1st, he was gone.
April, May. Okay, 3 months. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. Okay.
And that's about the period it takes in order to be able to get the service, the court date, and the final possession of the property.
Man, if people do not get on board with Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office and get this police chief out of there, chronic liar needs to go. Listen, I don't even know how to explain it anymore. Fidencio, help me, please. He's got to go. He has.
Well, you know the people who vote for him, right?
Yeah. So I got some information that I am definitely gonna use. I got it right before we got on this live. that a lot of HCSO are Masons. I'm going to say it
Yep.
again. A lot of HCSO are Masons. So I know some Masons that are in high places.
Mhm.
If you are a Mason, or if you know someone that is a Mason, um, reach out to your high people for your Masons. Also, I already knew this, but Chronic Liar and his family are uh, mobsters.
Mm.
Like,
Yep.
the families are mobsters, and we need to get them out of here.
Yeah.
So, Masons, 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 we are asking you to reach out to your highest of the highest, especially in Hillsborough County. You guys need to help us get get him out of there. Get him out of there. He's not doing anything for us, for our black and brown that are missing. And
Yeah.
I know my great great grandfather was a Mason, and it passed down. That's how it's supposed to do. We need y'all's help.
Yeah.
We need your help. I mean, there's too many black and brown missing from our area, that we have this mobster first and foremost, and we have other Masons that are not helping us find our missing. What the?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm
but
at
I'm
a
gonna
place
say
now
it.
where I'm angry. I'm
Yes.
thankful for the prayers. I really am. But
Mhm.
it's that one line that I hear every day, and although I'm thankful, I'm angry.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say I want you to stop praying for me, but I want answers. The hard part
You want
about this is,
action, action,
yeah, yeah,
action,
and getting
action,
up each
action.
day to go to, expected to go to work and work and continue to move and celebrate birthdays and milestones. It's hard to do when you can't close this chapter. You can't have closure. You can't be
Uh,
comfortable because somebody is actually doing something behind the scenes. That's not happening.
Hmm.
So you spend all this time trying to figure out what can I do next because nobody else is doing it. So it's really difficult to continue to go to work every day and to celebrate those milestones. You can't do all of that when your primary focus is nobody else
your
is doing
job.
something, so I've got to do something.
Right.
And when you have that, I have that guilt. I don't know about you, but I have that guilt that I can't do all these other things and let my child down and stop. I have to do something.
It's
Absolutely.
kind of the thing about
Absolutely.
when my daughter come up missing,
It's okay.
you
Go
know,
ahead, Fidencia.
it's you constantly going uphill. It's always up and down. You feel anger, you feel hatred, you feel. I mean, it's you constantly getting attacked by different emotions.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's something if you let it get to you, you will go down with darkness. You can't let that you can't let that take over you. I mean, trust me. I mean, I was in the process of my wife leaving me because I was hateful, and it's just the monster I became, because of my daughter.
Yeah.
But as a parent, you can only do so much.
Well,
You
and
know,
I have to say that the only reason I keep going is because I'm still a mother, regardless. I have another child,
yeah,
and I have to be there for her.
yeah, exactly. Like I said, I myself, I have other kids, you know,
Yeah.
and you still have to be stronger. especially for the other kids. Because I mean, the way I felt is that all the weight was on my shoulders. You
Yeah.
know, I was the ones keeping everybody going. My kids, my ex-wife.
You still are. You keep
I
me going
was
all
being the strong one. The strong one to keep fighting it, to keep doing what I have to do, keep a level head. You
Hmm.
know, because if you let your head get cloudy, you ain't no good. You see, a guy got to focus on what's important. But like I said, don't let it overwhelm you where it will control your life. Don't become a victim. Me
Yeah, I
as a person,
already
I
feel like a
refuse. I
victim.
refuse to
But
be a
I
victim.
don't, I can't let him be forgotten.
No, no.
And that's my priority,
hmm
it only takes us a click of a button to share his post.
Yep.
And I that the media coverage is not free. It's not easy. It's not, no, they don't care.
hmm It's not their
They don't
children.
care. No.
Mhm.
And I'm pounding the pavement to get this person to share my story and this person to share my story. And can you put an article in your paper? And it's nobody else out there. If you're not going to put an investigator or a detective on the case, at least offer me some resources to get my story out there. And they don't even do that.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. So I don't know if everyone knows, but Nico with We Are the Essentials is helping Miss Alexander.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you speak on that. I don't think I'm the very best person to
and I've had some positive work and responses as a result of having Nico on my case. Um, everything that I had been
Let me
screaming,
ask you this. Let, let me ask you this. How did you meet Nico?
he found me. Actually, I had one attorney that has worked with him before, and she referred she just kind of casually mentioned it, and she didn't tell me, so he found me. And Nico wasn't working with me 5 days before a search party was formed. Drones, dogs were out. And honestly, I don't think the sheriff department has heard me for the past 5 months until Nico got involved. Um, I've been begging them
That's
to take a
awesome.
look at this.
That's
Yeah, I've been begging them to take a look at this house. I called them when the eviction paperwork was filed and said, "Hey, this doesn't sound right." I had gotten a few text messages from the roommate saying mentioning that he was going to Texas, and when I would say, "Well, if you move to Texas, then you were the last person to see him, so how are we going to get in touch with you? We got to continue to be able to communicate with you." And then it turned into, "Oh, I'm not moving to Texas." I said I was going to Texas. And then he mentioned that Brandon was supposed to go to Texas with him. And Brandon goes nowhere without talking to mommy. He's just mommy's boy.
Mhm.
There's no way he would have made plans to even visit Texas without
Without-
telling
Wow.
me. I'm not saying he's going to ask my permission, but he
Right.
would have talked to me about it.
Right.
And that didn't happen. And it was just so weird that all of a sudden Texas came about. And not only did he say Brandon was going, he's like, "I'm surprised he didn't mention it to you because he's been helping us pack up the house for the last 2 weeks." Never once did Brandon mention the house was being packed up.
Because that
So
was a lie.
yeah. So all of that information, when I passed all that information on to Nico, he was the first person that heard it. And he took it to the sheriff's department, and he tried to reach out to the representative from the sheriff department, and after he didn't get a response, he went above her head.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's really good to hear that. And like I told you before,
Yeah.
it's good to hear that.
Yeah.
It's really good to hear
He
that.
has truly been supportive, and regardless of how it is spent, how they spend my story in the public or Brandon's story in the public,
It doesn't
the
matter.
way he takes it and he says he's a black man and
Mm-hmm.
somebody needs to hear this,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not taking it serious. So that's been his slogan for getting Brandon's story out there. And
And
I
that's
appreciate
good.
that.
That's good. And that's okay. So I'm gonna say
I know.
this.
I know. But I will tell you this, the things that he's doing,
Is
the heat index is 110, 115 out there.
That's
He's
good.
out
No,
there
that's
in
good.
it.
And I'm not gonna blast him for that or anything. But for me, my sister being of mixed race,
Mhm.
when I was pushing, hey, we need to get, she's black, she's missing, she's this, she's that. I had a lot of backlash from
Pushback.
my sister's white side of her family. I'm not going to say it came
Mhm.
from Nico. I'm going to say it came from my sister's white side of the family.
And it could
Well,
be
you got
becoming
Black
with
Panthers.
experience for him. It could be experience with
I
him. It could be
absolutely
something that,
agree.
after being
I
in this
am not
business for so
bashing him.
long. Yeah, it could be
Absolutely.
a learning experience. Yeah,
Mhm,
it finally makes some headway when didn't
mhm.
use it before, and now I'm gonna use it, and if it works, I'm gonna continue to use it.
Exactly. And that was my point. Once I was pushing that agenda for my sister, who is of mixed race, and we get the Black Panthers, we get the Brown Panthers, we get all of them out into the open, then I'm racist.
Right.
My kids, for all of you out there that don't know, my kids are Mexican, Black, and white. So they're triracial. You can't put that shit over on me and say, "Oh, I'm racist." How the hell
Yeah.
can I be? Anyways, but when I was pushing that agenda for my sister to get people on the black side of the community to help me push this, I was being racist. Now that did not
Yeah.
come from Nico. I'm going to put that out there. That did not come from Nico. It came from the white side of my sister's family.
But you use
I am very
whatever resources you have.
exactly. So I am very happy when Nico reached out to me and was talking about Brandon. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So he understands.
He
And
understands.
I
And
have
like
a
I said, it probably came with experience.
newfound respect for Nico.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So I
And
do
and
have that
and
newfound
when
respect.
I'm glad, because when anything he gets, anything he learns, even though he 100% agrees with us that Hillsborough County Sheriff Department is not going to do anything and that they suck, he still makes an effort to work with them. He shares any information he has
Yeah.
because he doesn't have the ability to get a warrant to go and search
Agreed.
anything. He
Agreed.
doesn't have the ability to bring in anybody and question them. So
Mm-hmm.
he still makes the effort to work with them and not interfere.
Yeah. And I like that because even with me, when I get new information, I still give it to them.
Mhm.
I still give it to them. Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, even though they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, they're only
They're
gonna
good.
do it if somebody say they saw him, then they'll go out there and take a look. That's it.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're not
Fidencio,
gonna get any help from them.
right. Fidencio, have you gotten any updates with
In Hillsborough
Veronica's case?
County, I ain't got
Yeah.
nothing. I mean, the only thing Like I said, the streets talk,
Mm-hmm.
and the sheriffs don't want to listen to the streets. But
Mm-hmm.
people go out there, they get drunk, they get do whatever, and they a lot of times the truth comes out when people get drunk and they start blabbing at the mouth. And I've heard a lot of stuff, and to me it makes sense. And I've sent that over to the police department, and they pretty much tell me we can't go by what he said, she said. We
Yeah.
need facts.
Because they
And I'm
aren't
like, well,
investigators.
well, it's not facts until you go look at it, find out whether it's facts or not.
Right.
Exactly.
You know. So,
Right.
like you said, Katrina, we're paying taxes for what?
Yeah. They
Nothing.
don't
Yeah,
investigate the case, but I will tell you, I would love to hear the street talking. I can't get anything.
yeah. I mean,
I can't
like
get
I said, and,
anything.
and I've heard the same story, not from one person. I've heard it from five people telling me the same thing, and them five people don't even know each other.
Yeah.
And I've heard the same story from five different people. About this so and so and this and that, and to me it makes
Hmm.
sense. But yet they won't take it serious at all.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
like I said,
only good news I have is I've told you, Katrina, is we were fighting more for my grandbabies. I mean,
Yes.
it's a case been going on for over a year, and we finally won that case. So we're able to keep two of my grandbabies
oh,
Yes,
wow.
yes, yes.
because
We need to talk about that. So Veronica had three kids when she went missing, and two of the kids are going to be able to stay with the Minharis family. And that's great, great news.
what
Um,
the problem was when my daughter come up missing, they were in the middle of adoption. He was going to adopt them because they were from a previous relationship, and even though she come up missing, the adoption still went through.
Oh,
Yeah, the adoption still went
yeah,
through without my daughter being present.
yeah. Isn't that crazy?
So,
yeah. They have a
and
responsibility to notify the absent parent.
well, everything was signed already. That you had to go before the judge, and the judge okayed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after the cops, after Hillsborough County actually did their job, there were so many red flag after red flags against the husband, and that's when I found out. You know what? It was a mistake. Coming to find out he was planning on going back. Was to take all the boys with him,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, that's all I have left of my daughter.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
I told Katrina, I'll live under a bridge, and I'll use all my money I got to keep my grandbabies.
Right.
Right.
But we finally won that case, and one grandbaby he has sent to Mexico, which is his own, and so the other two that he adopted, we won that case. So that's the only.
Yeah. I feel like I'm gonna end up in that realm. I have one granddaughter. Brenda has a 3-year-old. But honestly, I haven't had enough in me to deal with that. I can't take another rejection right now. So
Wait,
I've kind
wait,
of,
wait.
yeah.
Brandon has a baby,
Brenda has a 3-year-old daughter.
and where is she right now?
She's with the
And
mother.
you don't have to answer any questions that are too
No, no, no.
personal.
And it's fine. I've been in communication with the mother, um, with her family. She's not with the mother, and it's just not something that I'm ready to deal with. Um, and it hasn't been 6 months, and I'm just not ready to go there right now. And if it's gonna be a fight, I don't have the energy today. I can't say I won't have it tomorrow, but I don't have it today.
Right, right.
So I'm not opening that
Understood.
door yet.
Yeah.
Understood. Understood. I think Fidencio can. Hmm, I think Fidencio can understand where you're coming from,
Yeah, I mean,
and
it's like, right now the wound's fresh.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta give time to heal, and like I told you, it took me about a year, to get out of that dark hole I was in. You know,
Well, she's around. I mean, she's in Tampa. And mom keeps the line of communication open with us. She's still family, regardless of whatever goes on. And because she's the mother of my grandchild, she's still family. And
Yeah.
I just, when I'm ready to deal with it, I'll deal with it. But right now, today, I'm not ready.
Yeah. And that may be a little different because Veronica's kids' dad has played a factor in Veronica
Okay.
missing.
Mm,
Okay.
So I
yeah.
I, I totally get that. Oh,
Okay.
So I mean, it wasn't just because they were my kids. I mean, my blood, my daughter's only kids. But it's just myself. I wanted them to be safe. I feel they would be safer with us than with him. You know, especially if there's so many red flags against him. You know, for him to do something else to the boys too.
Mhm.
I didn't know what I would do after that. So
Yeah.
the best thing for me
and
to
there
do.
were some yeah, and there were some things that he did to the kids to make sure that they didn't get them. But we can talk about that, or we can talk about it
Yeah.
on a different live. But Miss Alexander, I think, and you tell me, Fidencio, because you're part of the Mission Struggle. Do you think we need to put her in our chat?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, she's up for it. Like I said, I mean, we're pretty much a family now. I mean, we're all doing struggle. That's what we call it, Mission Struggle. We all struggle in the
Thank you.
same thing. We all have the same thing in common. I mean, if you can reach out to either me or Katrina, whoever you want, if you need to talk or something, some kind of.
I gotta tell you, Fidencio is a beast. You hear me? Like he just looks like that. Don't take his shit for granted.
Come on
Because
now.
I'm like, no, you're a beast. Like for real. There's so many times that I'm just like, I hate everybody. I want to kill everybody. I don't want to talk to
That's me.
nobody. And I'm just like, and he's like, Katrina, you can't do that, Katrina. Yes, I
I know
can.
he's giving the best
You
advice
can.
right now. I'm hearing you on this side, and it's gonna stay there. It's not leaving, but I'm just not ready to take it
Yeah.
yet.
Well, like I said, that takes time. I mean,
He is a beast. Do not let those pigtails confuse you. He is a
but
beast.
but
He
Katrina,
is,
you know, I break down myself. You know that. I've talked
yes,
to you.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So I
yes.
mean,
You do.
we all have our moments.
You do, but I believe that you helped me expeditiously in my mental health. Seriously, you do. Um, you do. And I love you for that. You're my brother, and I will never ever let you go, and I will kill anybody that has anything to do with. I love you. You know
Yeah.
that. I love you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, I'm always here
Um,
for you. You know that.
he does go MIA sometimes, but that's how he deals with his trauma. And I
Yeah.
understand that. And I'll text him, I'm like, just say you're okay. And he'll say, okay. And I'm cool with that because that's how he deals with it.
Well, a
But
lot of
he
things
keeps,
that I do too, Shauna, is I overwork myself. You know,
Mhm,
if
mhm,
I'm focused on my work, I'm not focusing on something else. Digging that hole again. So yeah, I'd rather work and make that money.
mhm.
I mean, not I'm not saying I don't. I mean, I always carry my daughter with me, and I still do what I got to do for my daughter.
Yes.
But like I told you, I can't have that in my head constantly every single day. I would go nuts. You know, and like I said,
Well, I
Katrina,
haven't learned how to focus yet.
yeah,
I can't. My brain is scattered,
You will.
and I haven't been able to maintain focus on
You
one
will.
individual thing at a time.
we've all been there. Trust me. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I know as Black and brown people, therapy is a what's the word I want to say? No one wants to do therapy because we're stronger than that. We've been brought up better than that. Da, 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 da. We
Mhm.
need therapy. I go through therapy. I have a psychologist. I have a psychiatrist that I deal with. I deal with them because if I don't, I would go absolutely nuts. I'm on medication, and I would suggest that anybody in these circumstances get your medication.
Yeah.
And I can say that and not feel weak like some people try and make me feel. I'm not weak. I am very strong for actually understanding that I need that help and that I'm actually going forward and getting that help. Um, and no one can tell me any different. No one can tell me. I-
Yeah.
Miss Alexander, I know you've just met me, but I'm black. My mom is black. My dad is black. My kids are of mixed race. They're Mexican, black and white. But I got good hair. I got light skin. Everybody's like, "Well, what color are you?" I'm black. So um, I think that's very important because me as a black woman with three missing people in their family, and I am very boisterous about getting the help mentally, I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna put it out there for people to understand that it helps. It does help because I would be in Wing E in Bartow, Florida, with 4-point restraints and Thorazine in my leg, and them slobbing out the back of my mouth. But I know that I needed this. I
Yeah.
was,
You know,
and
you know
I'm
what I did
not
for my
afraid to
therapy, Katrina?
say, I was suicidal, very suicidal. I had plans. I attempted to take my life, and I, I'm okay with saying that I needed help, and I'll continue to get this help, and I'll continue, and I'll tell anybody else as a black woman in this society that it's okay to get psychiatric help. It's okay to get psychological help. It's okay.
Okay.
And it's a stigma for us in the black community. It
Yeah.
is a strong stigma, but I'm not
And
ashamed to
I'm
say,
not against it. It's just it I guess my I feel like I have to dedicate all my time now. I feel like I lost so much time in the beginning of him going missing
did.
because nobody wanted to
Hmm.
strike the iron while it was hot.
Yep,
And so
you
right
did.
now I feel like I gotta stay on their necks.
Mhm. But that does not mean you don't stay on their neck without psychological and psychiatric help.
Yep.
Seriously. That doesn't mean that anything changes from that. You see, I still go hard for my sister. I still go hard for my cousin. I still go hard for Veronica. I still go hard for Kelly. I still go hard for Matthew. All of them. I'm still gonna keep continuing to go hard for whatever. But I know psychologically and I know I need that. I know I need that. And I'm not ashamed to say it at all now.
Well, what you're doing, Katrina, I think that's part of your therapy too.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, it helps you. It helps you
Yeah.
cope with what's going on.
Absolutely.
You
It
know.
helps me to help others.
Yep.
Because if I wasn't doing this every other Thursday, I would be psycho for real. I would go absolutely crazy because I have to help others go through, I have to help others find they're missing. If I don't, yeah, I'd be absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And it's so good that you see that, Fidencio.
Well, I
Well,
told
I
you.
hope from this that people can take from this that one, it only takes a second to click a button and share it. You know,
Absolutely.
the more coverage I can get, the more people I can get talking about this, um, talking about not just Brandon, but the high rate of numbers
Mhm.
for Hillsborough County.
Mm-hmm.
You
Well,
know, then enough people talk about it that something starts to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And if every time I go out to follow up on a tip that someone say they may have seen Brandon, even if it's not him, I always look at it as I might be helping somebody else find their loved one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to say to you, Miss Alexander, I think it is very important that you go on all social media,
I do.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and you need to join every missing persons group
Okay.
that's on there.
Okay.
what's big
And
now is TikTok.
yes,
TikTok
Yeah.
now,
oh,
especially the young generation. Make videos of him. Missing and stuff like that. And that's what's big right now. And that's
Okay.
you get a lot of views there.
mhm, mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Because we're not all fortunate
Even
enough
if
to
you
get
have a family member,
media coverage and press conferences in 48 hours.
Hmm.
hmm so any people in your family that's doing TikTok or Twitter, like all of them, it doesn't matter. Get them to make a page. Get them to. I still have problems with Twitter. I mean, Twitter and TikTok. I don't even. Yeah, I'm so used to YouTube and Facebook. But get someone to make that and to follow that for you, because
Okay.
social media is exactly what it says, social media. And that is one thing that the detective on my case said, continue. And I don't even like him. I've cussed him out. I blasted him on Facebook. I did all types of shit. And every time I call him, he's like, keep putting it on Facebook, keep pushing it on social media. He tells me that. And he don't even like me and I don't like him. But that's what he tells me. Keep pushing it on social media because that's what's
Just just the other day, I went on TikTok, searched my daughter's name, and you got all kinds of people making videos of my daughter. You know,
Yeah.
so I mean, once you put it out there and people see somebody missing, you got other people making videos of your child. Of your missing. So I mean, it helps.
Okay.
I love your background too, Fidencio. Can you tell the public about your hair?
Well, the couple couple weeks prior, my daughter coming up missing, she found an old picture of me before she was born. Before she was born, I had her when I was 20, and my hair was actually long. It was halfway down my shoulders. And she saw that picture, and she had begged me to grow my hair out for her. She wanted me to have long hair again so she could see it. And of course, I wear a hard hat. I work out in the heat all day, and I refused. So I'm never going to grow it out again. You know. But to me, it was time to grow up when she was born. Cut the hair and be a man. But since she come out missing, I haven't cut my hair yet, and
Mm,
I refuse to cut it until I get answers.
yeah.
So
You guys are gonna make me cry. I cry all the time. Every time I do these.
Don't
Because
cry because I woke up crying this morning and it's been a really rough day. And I'm trying to hold on to these lashes at least to the end of the week.
I understand. I totally get it. I think for me, when I do these interviews, it touches it touches my soul to the point where I know this is why I do this. And this hit me so hard with you, Miss Alexander, because it is in the same county that all of our people are missing from. Again, Veronica, Kelly, Kaya, man, like we have to do something about Hillsborough County. We have to. We have to get a phone blitz. We have to get an email blitz. We gotta.
You know what I find crazy, Katrina, is all these other states. You know, you got somebody come up missing, and they're on it. You know, the county sheriffs, they get the state sheriffs involved. They get government involved. They get all these people involved. So like that Madison Bell to come up missing after our Kaya Veronica.
Mm-hmm.
She had everybody on her case. I'm talking about everybody. You know, and that was within 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, the pretty blue-eyed blonde girl, 18 years old, 19 years old. You know, she had all these people looking for her, and come to find out, she just took off with one of her boyfriends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then we got months and months with our kids, and nothing.
Nothing.
It all has to do with the sheriff's department. Like I said, I've tried calling the FBI after my daughter come up missing, asking for help, and they told us they couldn't do nothing unless the sheriff would call them.
I was told the same thing. I called, and they told me any information that directly from the sheriff's department, and they go from there.
Yep.
Yeah, they won't do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you from Fidencio and from my experience, we call them and they say if Hillsborough County Sheriff Office does not ask them to come in, they will not help us.
Yeah.
Which is stupid and retarded, and we need to get the public on that. That's just crazy. We know our family members. We know they are not supposed to be missing. Ooh, you guys, you know what? I thank you.
No, thank you.
No, like really, I thank you, because every time I do a live, I cry. Crying's not going to help us.
No.
We're going to have to.
And I need you not to cry, because I can't anymore today. I've gone through my box of tissue for the day.
Right. We have to put our foot on their necks. It's time to put our foot on their necks. They can't do it to us.
That's what I've learned from this, because I've been so invested in what information I can get to lead to finding Brandon, as opposed to the responsibility of finding Brandon. The sheriff department has a responsibility.
Exactly.
And I didn't see it that way until now.
Yeah.
I took it as, I've got to get you the information to find Brandon.
Mm-mm.
Not that you need to go out and find him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, see, the problem, Shada, when I found out that the cops weren't going to do nothing, is when the Chromebook that we had hacked got into it. It was a Chromebook that was leaked to her Android phone. My daughter's. It showed her whole route she went that Friday, and then we broke into it. That was on a Tuesday. We hacked it, got into her Chromebook, and it showed that her phone that we never found was at home that whole weekend. Her GPS on her phone showed that was at home all weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I told that to the guy who came out there that Wednesday, and I tried to give it to him, give him the information, and told him the neighbor had cameras. Look at the cameras. No, we don't need none of that. And I'm not just telling you my side of the story. I'm telling you this for the reason that these cops, they don't care. They don't care.
Oh, no. I was directly told, I I asked could they get the traffic cameras
Mhm.
from 56th Street near my house to see if he was dropped off, and they told me we don't pull those for missing people.
What?
Yes,
Yeah, they do.
yeah.
So after a while, they went to the store right down from my daughter's house, and they looked at them cameras. They looked at the streetlight cameras.
I asked
Realized,
about maybe a month ago, and she said, and besides, that was February. Yeah.
Man, if we don't do something about Hillsborough County, man, everybody is going to be trafficking girls there. They're men.
They're already
If
doing
we
it.
don't do something, oh my God, are you serious?
no, unless you're involved in that too.
Who involved in it?
The sheriff's department.
Yeah, it's the sheriff department that told me that.
That's what
The
I'm saying. Get
representative
involved
from
in
the
that
sheriff
and
department.
trafficking.
Yeah, that 56th Street is their area of patrol.
Well,
When I
Wow,
call 911, the sheriff
that
department
is
comes to my house,
fucking crazy.
not TPD. So yeah, I'm living in the area where I'm paying my taxes. My money is going to the sheriff department.
Right. And
Yeah.
for them to do nothing. And then when they ask, oh, calm you, can you please donate to the POF?
Mhm.
You know what I said? Fidencio, I took your lead. When you find
pick
my
up cans on
sister,
the side of the road. Yep.
you goddamn right.
Yep. Find my daughter, and I give you all the money you want. If not, go pick up cans on the side of the
Man,
road. Yep.
that's
Well, I
man,
thank
that's
you.
just
I thank you for having me. I thank you for the platform to share my story. Um, if they feel sorry enough for me with all the things that are going on, maybe somebody will come forward. I don't know. I want to take every resource available to me to get it out there so that somebody can hear it. Somebody can say this is important and see it as important as I do. You know, this is a young man with he has a 3-year-old daughter, a 13-year-old sister, and he's a huge role model for her. You know, and she's struggling with him not being here. So for her, I thank you for the opportunity to be here and tell it.
mm,
So, you know, this is gonna be. It's just one more notch in my belt to say I did what I could do.
If,
absolutely.
if
Absolutely.
if anybody, if you think anybody's watching this who knows something, or if Brandon's watching this, or you have anything to say?
Absolutely. You know, anybody that's watching this and that has followed me and I've invited them to this live knows my relationship with Brandon. My children are 14 years apart, so I raised Brandon by himself. He was an only child. So all of my struggles we went through together. And they know that
Mhm.
that kid means the world to me. So they understand our relationship. They understand the love I have for him. And those are the ones that are actively out there doing what they can in order to assist me by sharing the post. But what I need is if you know something, say something. That's all I can ask.
I agree.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. And again, I asked Fidencio to be here so that he could share what Hillsborough County has done for his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I am here representing what Hillsborough has not done for my sister. and to have you here to talk about what Hillsborough has not done for your son is important.
Okay.
And I'm going to make a flyer in a post about a email blitz as well as a phone call blitz to Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office about all of our people that are missing in Hillsborough, and for them not having a missing persons division. All of our people go to um, homicide detectives.
I
So I'm
haven't
going to
even
do that.
gotten there yet. I'm still on the Excel spreadsheet.
You're still on what?
I'm on their Excel spreadsheet.
What is that? What do you mean?
That's where they keep the one individual that is actively searching for the missing people the missing adults in Hillsborough County. They have one person assigned to juveniles for runaways and one person assigned to adults.
And we need to get
Pretty
the
much
public.
full case yet. She don't have a full case yet.
She don't have what?
And that's crazy. You didn't have the full case either, Fidencio.
Like it took us like 6 months. Like 6 months before they took it serious, and then when they did, they went straight to homicide.
Yeah, I haven't gotten them.
You know what they tell Fidencio?
What?
They're not looking for his daughter anymore. Straight up.
It's crazy.
I want you to be mad about that. I said that to be angry.
And my question is, if you're no longer working the case, close the case. Make it a cold case. Because once it becomes a cold case, then any private investigator can go in there and get everything that was found. Right now, nobody can get no information. Anything they found is still private.
Yeah.
If you ain't gonna work on it, close it. Make it a cold case. Pick it up. But yet they don't want to look like dumbasses. If somebody goes in there and breaks that case within months, because they didn't do their jobs the way they were supposed to do their jobs.
Yeah.
I have said what I've said today to make you angry. I need you to be angry. I need your loved ones to be angry. What's that?
He's still cool.
Right. But I need you to be angry enough so everyone can see that we need to blitz the sheriff's office with everything that we have. And to let them know that no matter what, if they're Black, if they're Mexican, if they're white, if they're drug addicts, if they're prostitutes, if they're whatever,
they're all underrepresented by the sheriff department.
Yep.
Absolutely. And they're still loved by their families. So I said all of that to make you angry and for you to share this where people will say, I'm going to make some blitz posts. I'm going to put their numbers. I'm going to put sheriff's office numbers, the detectives numbers, and all that out so everyone can say, we need to call and we need help.
Okay.
Let Chad's son come up and see what happens.
Oh, we will blow up the whole Hillsborough County to find.
Yeah, the whole county be out looking for them. The whole sheriff, all of them.
Yeah. No matter if they're mobsters, no matter if they're drug dealers, they'll find him.
No, that's facts. You know, that's the truth.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Look, unfortunately, my son's not important enough for that.
Mine broke a couple months ago.
No. So let me share with you, Ms. Alexander. It says, find Kaya.
Oh, that's pretty.
Fidencio got that for me.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And he won't tell me where he got it from, but he'll just order it. But I think everyone needs that. We need find Kaya, we need find Brandon, we need find Kelly, we need all of those.
Yeah.
Because every post you put up, just put find, a hashtag find Brandon. So anybody, all they have to do is search that, and his story will pop up.
Yes.
And any social media. So whenever you post, make sure you put that on.
Yes, that's very, very important. Did you hear that, Machina?
I did.
Okay, that's important. And I need you to join every missing persons group, even if it's not in Florida. You can be in California. There's a lot of missing persons groups.
Yeah, go national.
Join them, no matter what. And then when you join them, you push out his flyers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't joined the one in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm Mexico one still.
Absolutely. Okay, guys. It's 8:45, and we'll go ahead and close this. And I thank you so much for both of you being on. I think it is so important that we let the public know about Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office and what they are not doing and what we need to do to shut their asses down.
Right.
For real.
I love you. Down to get that sheriff out of there.
Absolutely. Chronic liar. Everybody remember that. Chronic liar, chronic liar, chronic liar, chronic liar. I'll say it every day, all day. Chronic liar.
Yeah.
Mister. Honestly. I thank you, Fidencio. I love you. You know I love you so much.
Love you too, sis.
Ms. Alexander, thank you so much as well. And
thank you for having me.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna add you to our group chat.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Good night,
thank
everybody.
You. Good night.
Good night.
Any answers to Brandon Alexander, Kaya Taylor, or Veronica Reyes Diaz, please reach out to the Missing Struggle via messenger or email. Love you guys. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.